I noticed something strange in my garden. Two plants, the same kind, planted just a short distance apart, were growing very differently. One looked tired. The leaves were small. The soil dried out quickly. Even after watering, it didn't seem to hold on to life for long. But the other plant, just a few steps away, looked fuller. The leaves were a deeper green. The soil felt softer, slightly moist, even a day later. The surprising part is this. These two plants started the same way. Same day. Same care. Same sunlight. But after a few weeks, they no longer looked like they belonged to the same garden. And here's the important part. If your plants sometimes grow slowly, or don't seem to improve no matter what you try, you're not doing anything wrong. Many gardeners have seen this before. In fact, this difference has been quietly observed for generations. There is a simple reason behind it. And once you see it, it becomes hard to forget. Before explaining why this worked, it helps to understand what's really happening beneath the surface. When we think about gardening, it's easy to focus on what we can see. Watering the plant. Giving it sunlight. Maybe adding fertilizer now and then. But experienced gardeners often pay more attention to something else. They look at the soil first. Not just how it looks, but how it behaves. Does it stay moist for a while, or dry out quickly? Does it feel soft, or hard and compact? Does it support life below the surface? Over time, many gardeners have noticed that healthy plants usually come from healthy soil, not just frequent watering. Older gardening traditions understood this well. Long before modern products were common, people relied on simple, natural ways to build their soil slowly. They didn't rush the process. They worked with time, not against it. And sometimes, what seems like an effortless garden is really just a garden where the soil has been quietly improved over months or even years. That brings us to the small method that changed what I saw in my own garden. It's not new. In fact, it has been used for over 100 years in different parts of the world. The idea is very simple. Instead of feeding the plant directly, you feed the soil underneath it. This is often done by placing natural materials like kitchen scraps, dried leaves, or plant waste into the soil itself, not just on top. Sometimes it's done in a shallow trench. Sometimes it's done by layering materials over time. The goal is not quick results. The goal is to slowly build a living layer in the soil. As these materials break down, they release nutrients gently. They also help the soil hold moisture better. And over time, they create a softer, more supportive environment for roots to grow. It may sound simple, but there is a quiet strength in this approach. It doesn't force the plant to grow. It supports the plant so it can grow naturally. And that small difference can change everything. What makes this method so effective is not speed, but balance. When natural materials break down in the soil, they act like a slow, steady source of food. Not too much at once. Not too little either. This helps avoid the sudden changes that plants sometimes struggle with. At the same time, these materials improve how the soil holds water. Instead of water running off or drying too fast, the soil becomes more like a sponge. It keeps moisture available for longer periods. That means less frequent watering, and less stress on the plant. Another quiet benefit is what happens below the surface. Healthy soil is full of tiny living organisms. These organisms help break down materials and make nutrients easier for plants to use. When the soil is supported, these natural helpers can do their work more easily. Compared to many modern solutions, this method doesn't try to replace the soil. It works with it. There's no need to add strong products or keep adjusting things every few days. It becomes a slower, steadier system. And for many gardeners, that brings a sense of ease. I began to notice small changes after the first few days. At first, it was the soil. It didn't dry out as quickly as before. Even on warmer days, it stayed slightly moist just below the surface. After about a week or two, the leaves on the plant started to look a little different. They were not dramatically bigger, but they had a healthier color. A deeper green. The plant itself seemed more stable. Less stressed. By the third week, the difference became easier to see. Growth was more consistent. Not fast, not rushed, but steady. The soil also felt softer when touched. Not hard or compact. Just gently firm, with a bit of give. It wasn't a sudden transformation. It was a quiet shift. The kind you notice more and more as days pass. One small mistake, however, can slow down or even cancel these benefits. It's something many beginners do without realizing it. Adding too much, too quickly. Or using the wrong type of material. For example, very thick layers of fresh waste can sometimes make the soil heavy or slow to break down. In some cases, it can even create an unpleasant smell or reduce airflow in the soil. Another common issue is overwatering. When the soil is already holding moisture well, adding too much water can make it too wet. Roots need air as well as water. If the balance is off, the plant may struggle again. If this happens, it's not a failure. It's simply part of learning how the soil responds. Adjusting gently usually brings things back on track. There's no need to rush or fix everything at once. This method can work in many places, but the way it behaves may change depending on the climate. In warmer regions, materials tend to break down faster. This means the soil improves more quickly, but it may also need small additions over time to keep the balance. In cooler areas, the process is slower. The soil takes more time to change, but it also holds its structure longer. Patience becomes more important here. In dry climates, the moisture-holding benefit can be very helpful. The soil stays usable for longer between watering. In humid regions, it's important to avoid making the soil too dense. Keeping things light and balanced helps prevent excess moisture. No matter the location, the idea remains the same. Work with the natural pace of your environment, not against it. Trying this in your own garden doesn't require much effort. It's not about digging deep or changing everything at once. It can begin with a small area. A quiet space where you allow the soil to improve over time. Placing natural materials just below the surface, or in a shallow layer, is often enough to begin. There's no need to press them down tightly. Let the soil settle naturally. Over time, these materials will soften and blend into the ground. If you ever feel unsure about what to use, it's safer to keep things simple. Plant-based materials are usually a good starting point. Avoid anything treated or artificial. The goal is to support the soil, not overwhelm it. And if bending or lifting feels difficult, it's perfectly fine to work slowly. A little at a time is more than enough. Gardening does not need to be rushed. Many gardeners who have tried this approach noticed similar patterns. The soil became easier to work with. Plants seemed more stable, even during small changes in weather. Watering became less frequent. Not because they stopped caring, but because the soil was doing more of the work. Some noticed better leaf color. Others saw steadier growth over time. Not dramatic changes, but reliable ones. If you've tried something like this, or if you're thinking about it, you might notice your own small changes too. And if you feel comfortable sharing, you can mention what you've seen in your garden. Sometimes, the simplest observations help others feel more confident. In the end, this method is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but with more understanding. Instead of reacting to every small problem, you give the soil what it needs, and allow it to support the plant in return. There is something calming about that. No rushing. No constant fixing. Just a steady process that improves over time. And as many gardeners have learned over the years, when the soil is cared for gently, the plants often follow. Do less. And let the garden give you more.